This video is meant to be a character deep dive of Limbus Company, so like if you haven't played the game or played through Canto 9, this video will make literally no sense. But like I feel like there's no real point for me to like explain the whole game and explain the whole Canto and all the story behind for everything. The whole point that people who watch these types of character analysis videos are the people who played the game in the first place. So yeah, just straight to the video. Today the character we're going to be talking about is Matthias, one of the nurse fathers in House of Spiders, specifically the nurse father of the middle. I believe a consistent thread among his character is that he is only an appearance of something. Moses herself even talks about how the middle is only about appearances and never cared for brotherhood and such. As such, Matthias bears the appearance of a father, but and just like the rest of the Syndicate is obsessed with appearances, with them only appearing to have the brotherhood or a found family, then patting each other on the backs and occasionally going to parties and such, and of course calling each other by familial terms. But they have the Book of Vengeance, which has rules just as strict as thumb. And his thumb requires your tongue to be cut off if you say something bad to superiors, and I bet the middle has basically the same thing in the Book of Vengeance somewhere. That's just a metaphor for his current situation is a collection of figurines that he has on his walls. The Distortion even makes a point to point this out. He only collects these figurines to display them, to display that he's a toy owner, and does not serve any real purpose beyond that. And thanks to the rest of the middle, he embodies a sin of envy, since he constantly just wants to look cool, and doesn't want to look weaker or lesser than anyone else, and would often go into violent tantrums in order to avoid these kind of situations. He tries to appear as a cool parent, and I believe that he thinks that he is a cool parent too. He might be thinking such thoughts such as, I'll just give the childhood never had, and tries to live out their own childhood through them, considering how Sim constantly feeding them junk food. And even though the junk food doesn't really matter, since in the city you can eat literally anything, and you probably eat a human brain and just cure the prion disease by just willing out. But his actions to do this in the first place are more important than the act itself. And of course, he collects all the toys for the children, not because he believes the children actually want the toys, just that he wants the toys themselves, and believes that everyone is just the same as him and share the same interest. But he is simply too immature to be a parent. He simply wishes to be a child, and appears as a child. He even acts as a child in the way he often throws tantrums, though the tantrums are accompanied with a lot more screaming from a deeper voice instead of the shrill voice of a child. He keeps trying to prove to others that they are a good parent by keeping up the appearance, even like talking about how apparently Ryoshi always loves him even though it's clear that it's not the case. I believe that he simply just is too much as a child himself. He obviously collects toys, and his most traumatic memory brought up by the deep purple Moses was him losing a toy. But the more important part is the lack of empathy. Against less so a lack of empathy and more so just being unwilling to comprehend such things. He's unable to understand that others have their own interests that are different from his. He's unable to understand that others may view the world differently to him. So he thinks that all he needs to give his child is the stuff that he wants, and that'll be the end of it. Nothing more, nothing less. An important part of his character is Leviathan, the rugs that he wields. Even though like it's said that it isn't a perfect match to him, I still feel like it is very much embodiment of himself. Like the exterior of Leviathan is covered in chains in order to resemble the loyalty of the middle. But the exterior gets thrown away the instant that anything important like a fight shows up, showing how he's willing to throw away the loyalty at a single glance, just like how he killed his siblings in the middle just for the sword itself. And then of course he has the interior that's burning and full of flame, with the effect of the sword burning everything, since the sword applies burning to all units on field, including himself, showing how his passion, as you can describe it, ends up driving everyone to suffer. Despite the fact that he can't use the sword to its full potential, the fact that he can use it to be a color occasionally in some clashes and be able to deal a good amount of damage with it shows that he does have an affinity with it, which I feel like relates more to the mythological connections of Leviathan, the sword, which it belonged to a betrayer, and of course he was the one who betrayed the middle. He was the one who betrayed the trust of Kira by attacking her, and I believe he definitely betrayed much more for his simple interest that we simply haven't learned. From here we can deduce some of the relationships to the sinner that are brought here. Like Halu is kind of brought here because like he experienced a similar parenting style where he was given all the wealth, all the money is that he would have needed, but none of the things that actually mattered, none of the actual care from anyone. So when they said that the Sanren cared for him, it's pretty obvious that they simply saw him as a toy that was simply thrown out to have fun on its own. Just like how Matias would leave the child at home and go and do his job and his interests by enacting the vengeances for the middle. I believe Don Quixote, who was brought here, relates more to Kira's middle apprentice here, since both watch fixer-related content. But the difference between them is that one of them watches the fixer-related content for heroism, which is the entire reason he went on this journey in the first place, while the other only sees appearances like the rest of the middle, only sees fixers that are strong, only sees how much harder it hits, only listens to the flashy skill names. That's how Yisong is here for the idea of appearances, something beyond on the surface, just like how at the start of his canto he talks about the chicken with useless wings that will never be able to fly, which are similar to useless toys which will never be played with. The chicken's wings were simply harvested for food for others, while toys were simply meant as a display to show off something for the other, never to accomplish anything. Not a reason why the mirror was originally used to wait for entertainment, a toy. But its true purpose is showing the potential of something believed in, which Matias does not do. He simply just keeps up his appearances, and perhaps his appearance is exactly who he is. He is just as childish, and I doubt he has anything deeper beyond that.